as a boy, I would look at all these videos and pictures and think, how cool would it be if I could be on that trip?
There's just not anything like it that I know in the world.
I'm back in the booth, and by booth I mean alaiabay here in beautiful Switzerland. And I got this guy with me, David Shumsky. He travels with LUEX with us a lot. And actually, I don't know anybody who travels so much as this guy. So I'm sure he has some cool stories to tell. I know the last time we talked, you were in Central America?
Yeah, I was in Nicaragua.
Right, and before that it was like the Maldives, and now in Switzerland. So I'm guessing you get lucky. You're getting waves.
You know, I found the more you travel, the luckier you get, right? So
For
we're
sure.
all going to get burned on trips, and I think if you've traveled enough, you've gotten some really great waves, but you've gotten burned a lot. And, you know, when I was younger and started traveling, started getting into it, when we get burned on a trip, I would be miserable. And now I think I have the formula that we tend to only, and look, I'm 45 years old. I'm still an idiot and I act like a kid, but you know, we plan trips that are in places that I'm not camping. You know what I mean? I'm not at that place in my life, and so we pick places where, you know, if there's not surf, we're like comfortable and cool and
Sure.
and like
There's always something to do. Yeah.
exactly, and we're in the most beautiful places in the world. So if there's you can kind of reset your mind and deal with it, but that's not why you're traveling, right? You're traveling to get
Correct.
really good waves. But I think, you know, it's pretty easy to find really good waves, really good uncrowded waves. It's really like the thing that's like, especially at my level. I'm not a pro surfer, right? Like, if I paddle out at height, no one's gonna give me a wave, and I kind of don't want one because I'll die.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even want to go there.
No, that's not, you know, and again, and I think maybe that comes with age too. It's like, I just want to have fun, I want to get barreled, but I don't want to die.
Right.
And so, you know, and that's one of the things with the LUEX properties. In general, they're at places that have like really, really good waves, but they're fun waves.
Yeah. Super diverse as well. Like you have something for everybody. Like it starts from like the one, you know, the person that's never stood on a surfboard to what you said, right? Like you're comfortable in the barrel, but you don't want to die. Like it's a little bit of everything. Really.
Yeah. I mean, I want to look forward to a trip. I don't want to be scared of a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to P-Pass every Christmas, and generally that's a fun trip, but there's always a little bit of fear because that place gets gnarly and terrifying, and I have some souvenirs on my body from like the last 2 years I've left there hurt, and that, you know, whatever, that causes some anxiety before a trip.
Right.
But you know, going to a place like McCool or going to the Maldives, it's you know, it's just fun, right? Like, what the fuck?
Cheers, man.
Thanks, man. Hey Nick,
Anyway,
you
we
look
got
pretty
coffee.
in that suit. That's going in, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah, why not?
We're not cutting anything out. I suck at editing.
Is
so
this live?
This is
It's
all.
just
This is all live. Yeah.
Fuck it, let's do it live. But yeah, I mean, you know, and I'd imagine the majority of your clients probably fit into kind of the middle of that spectrum, where like, you know, those pro guys are probably, they know what they're doing, and they're like,
I mean, there's a few, right, traveling with us every year, but the majority is like people, even like lower intermediates, and we just try to like find them places where they can have fun, right? Because there's no point of sending people somewhere where they're like scared or like they can't paddle out, they can't catch waves. I mean, that's not what we're about, really.
right. Well, the Maldives, I think that's a perfect example of a place where like an intermediate surfer can really push their limits in a fun way without getting served, you know? Like, you know, they're not going to come home hating surfing. So, I mean, really, we're just going to have fun, right? Like, none of us is getting paid to surf. So we're really, if you can set ego aside, right, and ride waves that are kind of appropriate for your level, and then push yourself a little bit on a trip, and then you come home stoked, right? You, like, really, it's just you want that picture, right? Like,
You want that barrel, for sure.
You want that barrel.
That's where the
paper.
ego kind of comes back. It's kind of like you want that picture.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, it's not a good trip, right? Like your trip literally, if you make your trip or you break your trip if you don't get that barrel.
It's true. It's funny because I think like I don't call myself a real surfer, because I think there's people who are like so much deeper in the culture than I am, and like.
But like at the same time, like what is a real surfer? Like it's literally it's up to the individual, right? Like what like, I mean, there's no like code that makes a real surfer. Like whatever you think it is, or what you feel, right? At least for me.
Yeah, I think of myself more as like a surfboard owner.
Right.
Like I've got a bunch of surfboards that I travel with them, and I go like paddle around with them.
Right.
But I think there's the, when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
You look at what the cool kids are doing, and you're influenced by that, and mercifully, I've grown out of that. Now I just kind of can do my thing, and I really enjoy kind of having that perspective on surfing. It takes so much of it. Like there's no pressure.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't. And I would give that advice to people getting in, especially like kids who are kind of coming up. And it's like, if you're just trying so hard to be part of like any particular group within the culture, you're ruining your experience because it's not authentic.
Absolutely. And I guess like what you said before, like there's no pressure. I think that's a good segue to my next question, because you, I guess at work, you were a busy producer in Hollywood. I'm guessing pressure is everything there. So do you think your surf trips, I mean, like I said, you travel a lot. Do you think that's your yin to your yang as a busy producer in Hollywood?
I don't. I think, the water's so therapeutic, right? And travel is so therapeutic. For me, I think where I am in my business, so much of it is on the creative end.
Yeah.
And I think if you can put yourself out in the world, you're so much more creative, and you put yourself in a state of mind. When I'm in LA and I'm driving back and forth, I'm in traffic and I'm on calls that I don't necessarily want to be on. No offense to the people that I'm on calls that I don't want to be on with. But when you're in that kind of state of mind, and every day is kind of similar to the previous, and it's similar to what the next one's going to be, and then you sit down and you're like, okay, I'm going to be creative today. I don't think that's the best environment to do that. So when I travel, man, it's like, just sitting in a house in Nicaragua, or sitting at McCool, or sitting on a boat in the Maldives. What are you thinking about? Like, if you're not surfing or thinking about surfing, it's such a good opportunity to get, this is going to sound hippier than I am, because I'm not that, but to kind of listen to your thoughts a little bit.
It's hot. Sorry. Hot. Sorry, guys.
It's his first coffee.
Dang.
But yeah, so it's not escaping work.
Yeah.
It's kind of turning your mind off a little bit and letting yourself kind of have some the crazy ideas are the ones that are transformative. And when do those come? For me, it's when I'm happy and I'm chill and I'm not worried about things. I mean, that's a bit of a good segue to a LUEX plug. I'm not, when I plan trips, I'm not kind of sitting in front of surf charts, and I like to call you guys and be like, figure that shit out. Because
I mean, that's what the guys do, right? That's what they good at. So happy to hear.
Yeah, no, but it's
You've heard that, eh?
No, but it's the reality, and I'm not saying that because I'm talking to you. It's
right.
I don't want, when I'm working, and I don't want to be. And I know for some people, and it's cool, part of the joy of the trip is, looking at maps and wind graphs and all that, and that's cool, and I'm not knocking that. It's just, I'd rather not. I'd rather spend my time doing my job, which I fucking love.
Yeah.
Like, I love work, and not in the way, like, not in a work ethic way. I just enjoy what I do.
Yeah, sure.
And so it doesn't feel like work, and so I'm having a lot of fun doing what I do. And I don't want to, I don't want to work on the details.
Yeah.
I want to say, oh, Maldives, cool.
You just want to know where to go, where it's good, and when, and that's it, right?
Exactly.
Which is funny because, like, I know a bunch of people, and obviously there's some people at LUEX, and you know who I'm talking to. they love the whole planning side, right? They love the, like looking at the charts, looking at the winds, looking at anything that could go wrong or right, for that matter. And for me, it's kind of like, nah, I want to go surf, right? Like, sure, like I get so psyched on, watch, like, and it's so cliche, but I like to watch surf movies, right? And like, I watch them and then I get psyched and I like to go surf. But some guys, they get hooked on like looking at the maps, right? At the cameras, and for me, it's just like, it's too much, it's too much noise.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I think this goes back to when we were talking a little bit about, like surf culture and what is it.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like a bit of an outsider when it comes to that. Like I don't really watch surf movies. I don't know any surfers really.
Right.
Like I know like a couple guys that I travel with, but I don't have like a crew of surfers. In fact, I don't even surf in LA. Like,
dang, there goes one of my questions.
like I'll go to a couple places, like
right.
if I'm like, oh shit, I've got like a trip coming up and I suck again,
right.
Because by the end of every trip, I'm like, oh, I'm starting to, like, I feel good about my surfing and I've progressed a little bit, and then I won't surf for a few months, and then I go on another trip, and I'm like, and you remember your last wave, and you were like,
always.
oh, I can surf again, and then and then I'll suck for a few days, and it's really frustrating, but that's the price you pay for not being consistent, being hardcore.
I guess, like, and you said it already, right? Like, you don't necessarily plan for your trips, right? Like, you don't, like I said, you don't sit there like, oh, you said it. You're not looking at maps, charts, or whatever. But do you train? Like, if you have a trip coming up, are you training for it? Like, whether in the gym or at the beach or so?
Yeah, I have a gym at the house, and I train 6 times a week, and like, but I would do that without
Anyway,
surfing.
right?
Yeah, I've been into sports. I ran track in college and got into triathlon later in life, and so like fitness in general is like a thing that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Actually, we just did a show with Kevin Hart, 3 seasons of it, called What the Fit. It's kind of a fitness comedy show, which kind of reflects like my interest in that world. Kevin's more interested in it than I am. I mean, that he's the hardest working dude in the world,
Right.
in the gym and in his career. But yeah, my preparation generally is I'll get really excited and randomly book a trip, kind of off into the horizon. Then I'll forget it was booked, and then I'll be like, oh shit, next week we're going.
Comes up, right? Yeah.
It comes up
Yeah.
quick, right? Like
Exactly.
and so I think that's more how I plan. I mean, in terms of like the broad strokes, I look. God, surfers are gonna hate me for this, but that's cool. I look kind of hotel first. Like I love hotels. I'm a nerd about hotels, and so if I hear there's like a phenomenal property that has a great product, then I'll check the wave second.
Right.
And then,
Okay.
and we're lucky. I mean, we live in a time where, surfing kind of has been recognized by people in the hospitality industry as like
For sure.
a revenue generator, right? Like surfers aren't, the stereotype.
Oh, the
that we grew up-
landscape has changed so much. I mean, surf tourism, like 10 years ago, like not a lot of hotels would have a surf program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there is a wave, like, close by, for sure hotels have a surf program.
Yeah. I mean, for better or for worse, but
Right,
like,
exactly. I mean, there's always, obviously, like the good and the bad, it's just, but you just have to roll with the punches, I
yeah.
guess.
Well, it's really funny when I have become friendly with the family that owns McCool.
Yeah.
And when they built it, they had no idea it was a surf spot.
Yeah, right.
Like they thought they were going to build this epic golf resort, and then when they opened, they were like, "Why all these surfers are showing up?" And I hate to blow up my own spot because I love McCool, but go to McCool. I mean, the place is just the cool thing about McCool is it's a fairly long boat drive. So where like Colorado's is packed with everyone who's better than me. I mean, the level of surfing. I mean, it's like a North Shore vibe. I don't know if you've surfed there.
I actually never been to Central America, like, or to that part of Central America. So no, I have not.
You should go. But McCool, like, so it's just this dope left point break that's just so much fun, and for all, and that's like an all level spot.
Yep.
Like it can hold swell, like it can hold like triple, and but still be, you won't hit the bottom at triple. The hold downs are like,
Yeah.
So you can get, you know, if we go back to kind of the Instagram culture of like wanting, I'm not on any social media because I'm like 1,000 years old, but you can get your picture on like a 15-foot face where people are like, oh shit, that
Looks
wow,
amazing.
you're
right?
charging.
Yeah.
They don't know that it's super deep water and you just kind of get pushed out into
Yeah.
this massive deep water channel if you bail. And so, but the hotel is
It's
next level. It's almost at the level of Nihi,
right.
like,
Okay.
and it's
Yeah.
but it's epic. I mean, that place is unbelievable. And the family that owns it's amazing and chill. I would.
I mean, like, obviously, like, you've been traveling so much and you've traveled a lot, you know, the last 12 months, 15 months. How has traveling changed for you? Obviously, like, how do you navigate through all these, like, COVID protocols and, you know, restrictions? Because what goes in one country isn't necessarily working in, like, somewhere else, right? So what's the go here? with you?
It's interesting. Well, one, your website tool is super helpful, and that was really progressive thinking. I'm also like very early on. I was very I shut down my office before anyone else did. I've always taken it incredibly seriously, and people are like, how are you so serious about it, but you're still traveling? And I just think there's a way. If you're look, you could be unlucky, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's
Obviously.
a pandemic, and over 600,000 Americans have died. And
But you can also just be at home, right? Or down the street. It can happen. My point is, it can happen anywhere, right?
That's right. It's just I just think if you're hyper vigilant when you need to be hyper vigilant, the odds are on your side, and,
Sure.
and that's kind of how I live my life.
Sure.
I will.
It's a lot of common sense as well. You just have to be smart about it. When you
Yeah.
travel, you have to be smart about it, right?
That's exactly right. It's actually made traveling a little easier for me because it's narrowed kind of where you can go,
Yeah.
right? So when right at the outset, when we were first working remotely, I was like, wait a second, you're telling me I can be anywhere in the world, right? My laptop is my office.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to go do 91 days in the Maldives, right? And other than a 13-hour or 14, I think in the southern atolls, there's one little zone that's 14 hours, and it's
Right. Well, it's they have island time and non-island
so
time.
confusing.
So, yeah.
So other than having meetings scheduled at 2 a.m. every which was brutal, and other than that, the navigation of I would recommend Maldives to anyone who's concerned about COVID, right?
Yeah.
Those are the perfect setups. Everything's outdoors. The islands are private, one hotel, one island.
Right.
So everyone who's coming on has just been tested or has been vaccinated. I like my chances if I'm with a bunch of vaccinated people outdoors on an island.
Absolutely.
Right? So
For sure.
that's something specific. I trust airplanes are safer than an office. You're sitting in a tube that has HEPA filter air, and is it as safe as hiding at home? No, but again, it's look, if we're surfing real waves, and especially reef breaks, whatever, it's a calculated risk, especially when you suck like me, and I fall so much. I fall so fucking much. And I hit the bottom a lot. because I'm heavy and can't
Yeah, that
swim.
sucks.
But but back to on topic. If you really think through the risks and the reward, like,
Sure.
What is it? 2021 is that the year? You will never again in your lifetime get the opportunity to surf more uncrowded waves.
That's for sure, 100%. And even like surf breaks or surf spots that are super crowded usually, right? I mean, we were just in the Maldives now, North Male. Usually, I mean, there's people, right? And we had it. It wasn't perfect, but we had it, empty. Like it was awesome.
That'll never happen again.
Right.
And not just empty, but like the level at some of these places of surfing is like, when you've got guys like throwing like massive air reverses and stuff, it's just not fun for me.
Right.
It just
sucks. You go home and like you're just all jealous.
you're jealous and rightly so. They're not giving you waves.
Yeah.
Like because they look at you.
Well, even if they do, I feel like, come on, I don't want that wave. Don't give me waves. I can paddle for my own.
Seriously, there was this spot in Micronesia, and I'm very fucking average at surf. And the guy who was the best guy there, I won't say his name, but it was big. It was like 8 foot and slabbing and real and scary, and this guy, and he's like, David, go, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, and you can't pull back.
No,
like,
you've
if
got to go.
Exactly.
And it's gonna be the best wave of your life, or the worst thing that's ever happened to you. But I don't know how we got there from COVID.
I don't know, man. We're drifting, but that's okay.
Back to COVID. Use the LUEX tool. I mean, but again, that's I don't. This goes back to why to use a service like LUEX, and I sound like I'm trying to sell it, but I'm not.
We didn't pay for it, just to let you know.
Or give me a discount on shit.
This is not sponsored.
You guys are professionals. Your job is to know what the restrictions are in various destinations, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in Switzerland now. I went onto the Swiss embassy's website for their COVID protocol. It was wrong.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So, like there was like Swiss Air, the Swiss embassy, and the whatever American site. Each one of them had different information as to the entry requirements, and I was like, oh shit, I need a COVID test. No, I didn't, right? And
yeah,
so
right, because you were vaccinated,
I'm vaccinated,
right? Yeah, so you don't.
Get vaccinated.
Right.
I'm not going to get political, but just get vaccinated.
We could. That's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people.
Well,
so maybe
get over
just,
it.
Like,
get over it.
We go to the next one, right? Like, you're like, honestly though, like, I said it like 3 times already. I don't know anybody who travels so much. So, when you travel, and I guess it's like, there's 2 parts to the question. What's in your suitcase, and what are 3 things you never travel without?
Okay, I'm getting better at this because I used to have a problem.
Okay.
And it was a very serious problem. It's overpacking.
Okay.
And that was. So when I went to the Maldives for example for 90 days, right? I basically like moved there, and I brought all this, and then I discovered at the end that I had worn like 4 shirts and like.
It's always like that though, because like in the end, you wear your favorite shit, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just we don't need so much shit.
No,
really.
you don't. I mean, but I think that's probably like a broader conversation about
sure.
like, and maybe it's uniquely Western, that like we consume massive amounts of shit. But so this trip, I was like, I came, traveled, I don't know how many thousand miles it is from LA to Switzerland.
Is that like 50 hours, is it?
11, something like this.
Yeah.
And I just came with a carry-on and my board bag. And it was, and this was illuminative. I haven't even worn half the shit I brought in my carry-on.
Yeah, right.
And so I
But
think
you probably stuffed your
Well,
surf
yeah, I
board,
know.
right? Yeah. So there it goes.
but still like we're talking. So if I were like teaching a class in packing, money, passport, boards, leashes, wax, fins. I always lose fins.
Yeah.
Can I say that I don't like FCS?
That's perfect because I like Futures too.
FCS, the like no screws, no worries slogan is a lie. Yeah, no, I've every
So
trip
you lost fins. Is that the takeaway?
I lost an H4 fin.
Okay.
Then I called them. I'm like, yo, I need a replacement fin. They're like, yo, we don't have replacement fins. You have to buy a new set. I bought a new set and lost another fin. And they're like, yo, you should have used screws. I'm like, yo, you said no screws, no worries. So I'm a Futures fan now.
Yeah, yeah. For sure. Futures, man, I grew up surfing Futures and I just never changed. I can't even actually talk shit about FCS because
I
I
can.
actually never, ever used an FCS set.
Yeah, no, I can. So, and that felt good. That was cathartic. Thank you for letting me share. But yeah, it's so. Other than that, and then I guess this goes back to the nice hotel thing. I love food,
Yeah.
like, and you know, one of the nice things about these places is you can have just phenomenal. And I'm probably speaking to a narrow group of your clients right now. You know, I don't know how narrow, but like fine dining is dope when you can.
Sure.
You know, you surf. I guess I'm probably talking to the older people, but you surf all day, right? Like you're exhausted. You've had an epic day, and then to be able to kind of throw on semi-adult clothes and have like a phenomenal meal, especially if you're traveling like with family, with a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Actually, this is a good segue to something. And I think this speaks to what LUEX does really well as well. Another unpaid plug. Maybe I should. Tim, give me money.
Sponsored.
Totally sponsored. You know, I travel with, you know, loved ones, right, who don't surf.
Yeah.
You know, are we gonna go like camp in Baja? You know, like no, it would suck for them.
Exactly.
And especially if I disappear for 8 hours a day, as you know, like I'll surf for 3 or 4 hours and then come back and eat and then get back in the water. If there's not something great for them to do, whether it's food, I know we were talking about packing, but you know, but
No, but it's all together, right?
it's all the
Food,
same,
packing, same. Yeah,
general
for sure.
idea. That's incredibly important to me. You know, when you're planning a trip, and not because I'm like cool, not because I'm nice. It's not like, oh, I want something nice for them. It's that if they're miserable, they're gonna make you miserable, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not. That's not because they're being a dick. It's just unhappy
No, for
people
sure.
are like
Absolutely.
shitty to be around,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, I'm thinking again of like the McCools and the Needies of the world. Those are some of the best places on earth that you can be.
Yeah.
And so if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go surf, they're like, whatever. Later, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
going to the spa. I'm gonna, you know, if it's Nihi, I'm gonna ride a horse that's swimming in the Indian Ocean. Like, that's
Yeah.
dope
Yeah, it's true.
by like any measure.
Yeah.
And so
Even if you want to surf, I would totally ride that horse. You know, like I mean, for sure.
exactly. And then the food, and then
Yeah.
I mean that's another thing. You know, I think maybe when I was younger, like a bros trip where you're eating whatever. I'm also a vegetarian, so like, you know, when you travel to, when you're in the West, and you say you're a vegetarian, they're like, all right, cool, these are your options. When you travel,
It gets harder in some places, for sure. Absolutely.
and so at a certain level of hotel, you know.
Yeah.
You know they send you a questionnaire in advance, like what are your dietary restrictions, and when you're dialed in by the time you get there, right? And that's just makes, again, in the same way LUEX makes my planning easier.
Yeah.
being there, I don't want to figure out what I'm gonna eat. I just want to surf and be tired.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit in a restaurant and be like, oh shit, like, oh, what kind of broth do you use, and be an annoying nerd.
And I guess like there's a time and a place to do that as well, right? Like if you go on a trip with like just the boys, right? Or like you go on a road trip for 3-4 days, then that's the time to like rough it up and like go and hunt for waves, and then like food later, or like, you know. So I think it all comes down to like what you're actually looking for and who you travel with. I think that is a very, very important part of the you know of the whole picture.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's it. I can only speak for myself. I'm not doing a road trip with a bunch of dudes in a car. It's just with like smelly wetsuits. They're like, that's not my jam, right? Like, that sounds terrible to me.
It sounded really like it was fun when you're 18, right? But then when you're like
100%.
when you're getting older, you want like a nice bed, and like the shower needs to be hot, and like, man, you know, even at 34, this is the stuff I want.
It changes. You change
For sure.
And the other thing is, and you know, like really wise people who have kind of mentored me have talked to me about, as you know, get older and you advance in your career, time becomes more valuable than money.
Yeah,
right. And
absolutely.
that's, you know, when you're
And experience as well. Like it's all about the experience, right? And like, to a degree, money can buy you experience, but like it's the little things that it's just that need to, you know, it needs to happen, and you can't buy it. You can't buy it with money.
Oh, absolutely. That's, I think, the biggest mistake that people with money make, right? Like, we've all seen them, and maybe people have accused me of being that, but you know, people that didn't want to put in the work and just want to be. I think you hear about it a lot with people who climb Everest, right? They're basically being carried up by a Sherpa.
Right.
That doesn't count. Surfing, there's. I mean, you know.
Doesn't it though? Like,
I mean, I
still
guess,
think it's like, it's freaking crazy. Like,
I mean, I know people who've been like towed in at Chopu who don't deserve it, like based on the work they've put in.
Right. I mean, if you get pulled, like, you know, if you get towed into like a 30-foot wave,
Yeah, no.
on on any level, like, you deserve. Like, I don't know.
They're
like,
not doing 30. I'm talking
they
about
probably-
like on paddle days,
Sure.
like chill paddle days.
Sure,
they're
sure.
getting towed in, so they don't have to make the draw. I understand how people would judge that. I mean, I still think it's dope because it's fun. Like, if you're having fun, who cares?
I think I think it comes down to that, right? Like, if you don't have fun, whatever you do, man, you're doing the wrong thing. Like, it comes down to, like, if you don't have fun, man, like, all the money you spend on it, all the travels you do, I mean, it's just not worth it.
Well, why are you surfing? You know, like,
Because
if you
it's
don't.
fun. It's not because, like, you know, or we all are, like, freaking amazing at it, and we can make a living from it, but we still travel like them because it's freaking fun, you know?
Well, I don't want to travel. The way they travel seems shitty. Like, it seems really hard, right? Like,
Just carrying freaking 2 board bags, like, through LAX or whatever. Wow.
I mean, that life seems really. I mean, unless you're like top 5 guys in the world.
You have to grind it out.
That's-
For sure.
I had a friend who was like the worst player on an NFL team. And, you know, he'd be like, oh, I'm in the NFL. And people are like, wow, that's amazing. And he's like, fucking sucks. Like, every day in practice, am I going to get cut? Am I, you know, and it's, and I'd imagine
I
being.
think the NFL and, like, all the American sports, even more so, like, it comes down to business. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's not like, sure, at the end of the day, they play on Sundays and it's all fun and games, but, like, during the week or during the off season, it's business, man. Everything comes down to business. And I think we talked about it before. The pressure, right? I think I don't want to have that pressure in my life. Like, it's gnarly. Like, I'd be.
I would hate that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be miserable.
Like, can you imagine being in like the bottom half of the WSL rankings? Like, and
For sponsors and like price money and like trying to.
and getting dropped and going back to the QS, like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, good for them. I mean, first of all, they're amazing. Like, what they do is so. I mean, those are some of the best athletes in the world.
For sure.
I mean, it's not. You know, when you look back at.
And we have to say, it's because of them we're doing all this. We are in Switzerland at a wave pool because it's the lifestyle. Like they literally selling us the dream, which to me at least, like I would not want to have it any other way. Like this is a dream. Like surfing is a passion, right? And it's a passion project really for your whole life.
That's right. Well, although I don't watch them surf because what they're doing and what I'm doing aren't the same sport, right? Like it's not. It's, like I don't know how they do what they do. I don't know how you surf that fast on mediocre waves, and I don't. And so all it does is make me sad.
But you know what gets me the most is like the paddling part. They don't freaking paddle, and the wave is freaking double. Exactly, it's freaking double overhead. It's freaking frustrating.
Well, they're sitting so far inside, right?
Yeah.
Like, because they can take off under the ledge and they're chill and they know they're.
It looks so freaking easy.
It's rude. They should.
It's rude.
No, because when it gets big, I try. I sit outside. I try to get in so early because I don't want to do that.
Set up, like the earlier you get in, obviously the more time you have to like see what's next, right?
But when I watch them sit and spin under the lip and kind of pull their board down and then just kind of launch.
Exactly. That little launch, like that, man.
That's not even.
That's
not normal. But then,
No.
but again, like it really is a different. What they're doing is if you look at that and then start to compare yourself. We haven't surfed together, so I don't know like what you're doing out there. Maybe you are, but.
Nah, we're not there yet.
But I think that's part of the maturation where, when I was a kid, I would measure myself against them.
Sure.
As an adult, I'm just like, am I getting better than I was? And if I am, then that's really fun. And progression, not to show other people, look, I'm better. It's just because the better you are, the more fun you're having, really.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I think like when you're a kid or when you're younger, right? You're in constant competition with everybody else. But when you get older, the competition is like more inward. Like I'm in competition with myself, right? Because like I want to surf better than I surfed yesterday, or I want to be better than I was yesterday. So, and I think that's a lot more fun, and it's a lot more mellow. Like again, it comes down to pressure, right? And it's just like it's a different kind of pressure. It's fun.
Yeah, well, if you make it, I know people who are so in their heads, like, and they're their own worst enemy, and they're their own competition, and that's, get out of the water. Not so much, I see it less in surfing than like in skating, and where you just see people snapping their decks and like.
Tennis, freaking rock.
Yeah, exactly. But, this is one of the world's most frustrating sports. Like,
it takes so long to get good at it, and then every time when you think, oh, sick, I'm good, the next session just freaking eats you alive and, puts you back in your place. Like, nah, it's not your time yet,
No, for sure. Like, you just pearl on a takeoff,
right.
And you're just like, what? I haven't done that in...
Yeah.
But
I think that's what makes it amazing and why you come back for more. Because you never reach that point where you can like sit back and like go like, all right, I'm gonna have a couple of drinks and I'm the freaking king,
That's surfing. That's one of the beauties of, in sport in general, and I think surfing's being more regarded as a sport. This is a good segue to wave pool, but it's being more.
Speaking of wave.
Speaking of sport, but I think when I was a kid, there was this massive pushback against it being commercialized, that it's a sport, but now we're looking at it going to the Olympics. Guys are doing real training, right? People are talking about biomechanics in surfing, and
the whole physical aspect as well, like the training now, and like I don't know, like I checked my app because it's from where we were, it was like a 2-hour drive, and I was going through like the app store, and there's like a bunch of like applications for like surf training and like surf strength training, which is amazing. Like I thought it was awesome.
I think it's important. We can't pretend, given what people are doing now, one, how big the waves are, people who are doing these acrobatic gymnastic airs and landing really fucking hard. If you're not fit, you're gonna get hurt.
Absolutely.
Like that's. You see it in skating and snowboarding too. People are really taking it very seriously, and they should, because there's nothing cool about being hurt.
absolutely
You know,
not.
and if you're strong and flexible.
Fuck, I think we're running out of battery. So we gotta
Okay.
hurry up.
It's
Let's
all right.
go. Hang on. Actually, I want to ask this question because this one's good. We talked about it. You said like you always, well, in the past you overpack, right?
Yeah.
So are you I'm gonna dial in my quiver for every trip, or more of a I have 2 boards and that's my entire quiver and I travel everywhere kind of guy?
I'm a board nerd. I love boards.
I just figured that.
Yeah, I love boards. I love ordering boards.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll literally like look in my garage. I have like a rack, and I'll see a bag, and I'll open the bag. I'm like, I've never seen this board before. I don't remember buying this board. I think that's part of the fun of getting ready for a trip. Is I mean, there's certain places that I have a quiver for,
Yeah.
like P-Pass. I have my P-Pass boards because it's such a specific, for me anyway, the way I attempt poorly to surf it. Like, I have that quiver kind of dialed in, but for in general, and then probably wave pool too.
Yeah.
I have like
Have you surfed a wave pool before?
no, but
first time?
this was my first time, but I knew I needed a little bit more volume
Yeah.
and a little bit of kind of a looser
Yeah.
board. So I guessed right. Like I love the way the board works in the pool, and it was the first time I've traveled with one board.
Okay.
But I figured, like, it's
mean, you
not
don't
like
need-
there's varying
Exactly.
conditions,
It's
right?
like the same, right? Every single time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, and if you would have one tip that you could let everybody know when it comes to traveling, what would that be?
Do it.
I like that.
It's true. I mean, there's very few instances in life, I think, where you take a risk and regret it.
Yeah.
You know, like a calculated risk, which travel is, right? Like you're going to miss opportunities at home. You're going to, you know, like people at work are going to be like,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to annoy some people, but you're never going, you're not going to get fired, right? You're taking a trip. I mean, I don't know what your job is, but I just don't believe there's a better education in life. And we're not even talking about surfing, right?
Yeah,
Like
in general.
in general, and speaking particularly to kind of, you know, to my American compatriots, like, you know, I think one of the reasons that we have the reputation that we do, and it's not a good one internationally on a lot of levels, it's because we don't travel enough and we don't experience enough. You know, I think less than 50% of Americans have passports.
Yeah.
And
I have some friends actually. They live literally 25 minutes from the border. They don't have a passport. They never traveled to Mexico
that's
or out of the state, for that matter.
they're just it's cool.
Sure.
You know, that's your thing, but you're just missing this massive education free
Yeah.
ish educational opportunity.
It's true.
Especially, you know, to people who are younger. It applies to everyone, but if you're younger, you're going to school, you're doing all this stuff, but you're missing the easiest way to get this amazing insight into the world, and both how the world functions, and then give you a new perspective on how whatever your bubble functions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what's right, what you know what we do really well, and what we can improve upon. And you can't. The world's a mirror, right?
Yeah.
And so go look at yourself through the lens of the rest of the world, and then waves, right? Like,
Sure, absolutely.
you know, we're talking surfing. There's nothing better than finding something,
Yeah.
and it's yours for that moment. And that's what's really cool about surfing.
I think that's what makes surf trips so rewarding, because it literally comes down to that risk reward kind of, again, like yin yang kind of thing, because like, yeah, you can get skunked, yes, it can go flat, but even if you have a week of like shitty waves, if you get 2-3 days of like world-class waves, you don't talk about that week,
You won't
right?
remember that.
Exactly. Like you will talk about these like 3 days, and you will talk about those 3 days like in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. And I think that's what, I mean, for me, that's like the biggest aspect of like surf trips, right?
100%. Well, the bad days are the most. Honestly, the bad days are the most important. If there weren't all of the bad days, I mean, we're really just chasing. I'm still, I've been doing this a long time. And I've traveled a lot. I've been to all the places. There's still that elusive wave, and I can see it in my mind, right? It's what keeps me going. I had it once, I didn't come out, and I'll never forgive myself for that. But that's the beauty of it,
Right.
is it's the journey. This is so cliche, but the journey's more important than the destination, and all of this failure, right? All of the waves you didn't make, all of the times you got skunked. That's what makes this amazing. If you could go paddle into perfect cloud break every day for the rest of your life, it's not as special, really.
No, and I think that's a great point, right? Like once something becomes available all the time, it loses its appeal, right? It's just not what you said as special, right?
It's like any other relationship. Like you've got to work to keep it special, but this is more, really when you talk surf travel, we're really talking about barrels, right? Like, at the end of the day, and
I don't think that perfect barrel like exists, because like you get barreled and you're already visualizing that next one, right? That might be better, might be bigger, might be
No, I was in it. I was in the perfect barrel. I took the wrong line. I didn't come out. I broke my board and scarred myself. But that's
like the ammunition to go again, right? Like,
oh my God.
Because it's again, it's super cliche, but like we're chasing this like perfect wave, which it's probably a freaking oasis. Like it just doesn't exist,
probably.
Right?
When you get it, I'm sure you're like, okay, big. I mean, what do you went, all right, bigger.
Right, exactly.
But
or more remote, or there were too many people in the water. I want to get like, there's always like something, right?
Well, that's a dream. I mean, we're living. It really is a fantasy, right? Like everyone dreams about, whether you're a surfer or not, kind of like letting everything go. And
With every hobby, I think, or passion, right? Like, I think it happens with every sport.
But we're lucky that we can, you talk about most sports, whether, it's football or we're in Switzerland, football.
Exactly. But the other one?
the other white meat. Yeah, I mean, you're playing, wherever you go, you're playing on the same pitch, the same court, the same field. That's what's so cool about what we do. Whether one of my dreams is to surf under the northern lights, like in the Arctic.
And you can call me. I want to do that too.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's for sure. Like,
I honestly,
really.
I talked to a couple of guys from Norway. They run like a magazine up there. It's amazing.
That's happening.
It's freaking cold, but it's amazing. I think it's the best. Honestly, for me, like just seeing that, being able to surf, I don't know if there's anything better. Honestly, barrel or no barrel, I don't care.
No, I want that. And the cool thing is, like, you don't even have to surf it well. Like,
Right,
just say you stood up, went down the line, and like the northern lights are above you.
It's crazy.
Snow's on the beach. There's a fucking iceberg in the water.
Yeah.
That's.
Man, that's.
And I don't like cold water, so that's.
Honestly, for that, I wouldn't even care.
No, you wouldn't.
You just go. Oh man, do you have a trip planned? Like, obviously now we're here and this is kind of a trip, but do you have a next trip planned?
Next trip. Well, go back to P-Pass every December if it's open, but they've been closed. We've got Sumba booked for March.
Yeah.
I guess that's a lot.
That is already two trips.
Two trips. We're about to start shooting a movie this month, so the next 3-4 months are going to be bananas. And then hopefully I'm going to come back here probably October for a few days. Speaking quickly about the wave pool, I love them. I'm a proponent, but I think you have to come in with a very specific mindset. If you're coming to ride the best wave of your life, you're coming to get barrel. Like, I skipped the barrel sections here because you're not learning. First of all, it doesn't replicate an ocean barrel very well. Like, you're sitting super low in the flats here. So whereas you'd want to be much higher and tighter, like in the ocean. But if you come here with specific goals that you want to train, it's really, this is the world's best gym. It's a world's best surf gym, and you can use this wave to because in the you're so reluctant in the ocean to throw away waves by trying things that you for the first time, or like working on shit. Like if you want to like release your tail, if that's what you're working on, you don't want to do that when you got, if you're at Malibu and you finally got a wave that you haven't been dropped in on. You want to make 4 turns, right? But here, you drop, you get your speed, you make 1 turn, you fall, whatever, because you're working on something, you're working on your airs, whatever. In 2 minutes, 34 seconds, you have another wave.
That's crazy.
Right?
I mean, I'm super excited. Like, I haven't tried it. My turn is at 7, so 2 more hours. Man, I can't wait.
You're going to be so stoked. You're going to be surprised at kind of like the power of the wave is weird. It's not like the ocean.
So
it's softer.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like it as well, right? And it just looks so mechanical. Like, it's insane. Like, just looking at it, like, I saw you, like, I was here before, I saw you, and it's just kind of like the takeoff, from where it takes off to the inside, it changes. Like, there's like so many different sections, and it's insane because the pool isn't really that big, right? Like, it looks much bigger on camera.
Yeah, right.
So I was surprised about that. Like, in such, like, you cover little, like, literally like little space, but there's like different sections that you can get barreled on, or like do a snap or carve. It's awesome. It's really, like, it looks fun. It just, I mean, I think that's the word. Like, it looks really fun.
It's so fun. But again, if you're coming into it being like, I'm gonna go have fun, you will.
Yeah.
But it's not like, if we saw a wave that looked like that on the beach, you'd be like, psyching.
Right.
But there's a disconnect between the visual, like in the ocean, a wave that looks like that, that's like cupped out like that, is gonna be pretty powerful.
Sure.
Here it's not, which is it gives you an interesting opportunity to get kind of into really vertical sections.
Yeah.
And so you can try all this stuff without it. It's both good and bad. It's not going to push back like the ocean where it would kind of pitch you. You can kind of throw into it in a different way, but the technical model that you're using on your turns, whatever it is you're working on, is the same. I would recommend to everyone not get barreled. Do like 2 pumps, come out, and then like if you're working on airs, if you're working on like a hack or whatever it is, it's so good because you can feel, especially with like I'm sure you're videoing your sessions. Go break it down. And like you'll leave here a better surfer than you came, and you can't, like, how much money is that? Like, what would people pay for that?
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of trips planned, I think I'm gonna come back here in October for like 4 days and really just.
Because you were here with the coach, right? Or you booked a coach? So.
Yeah, no, I have a coach who's based in France, and he came up, and we've just been kind of working on 2 very specific things, and in the ocean, you just can't do.
Exactly.
You can't do that, even if it's uncrowded. It's just the waves are so unpredictable,
and they're like different every single time.
Exactly.
Whereas here, I mean, at least what I saw, they're this freaking same.
Yep. The only trick is, depending on the session, there's between 5 and 12 or something waves.
Yeah.
Wave number 1 is always the same. Wave number as the next wave number 1.
Yeah, right.
In the next set.
Okay, I got
Wave
you.
number 2
It's okay. I see.
And so if you can try to stay if you're working on something, if you can try to stay always. Oh, I'm always writing wave number 1, or I'm always writing wave number 3, because you'll get the same section.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing about the ocean. If you're like, okay, I'm going to work on my airs on this wave.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you might not have a section to do it.
Exactly.
And if you try it, you're going to look like me. You're going to look terrible. But,
man, I can't wait. Honestly, it's
you're gonna have so much fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Love it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I actually have a few rapid fire questions.
Okay, let's do it.
For you. You want to do them?
Do it.
Yeah. I think we got a little bit of battery left.
Go until it dies.
All right. First one, and it goes back to your job, right? You work with both Kevin Hart, Jack Black. So the first question is, who would catch more waves, Kevin or Jack?
Kevin. That dude is crazy fit.
Favorite What the Fit episode you worked on?
You're gonna get me yelled at. I don't know. They're all fantastic.
I know mine.
Okay, what's yours?
Frickin' Muscle Beach,
James Corden.
for sure.
James Corden's
For
amazing.
sure.
James Corden's amazing.
He's hilarious. Worst trip. It.
Can I take the...
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Welcome.
There you go as well.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Again, worst trip. Be nice.
The worst trip is with any surf operation that doesn't understand what surfers want. There's one in particular I won't mention, but if you're gonna say you offer boat services to surfers, then have a surfer on the boat.
Very diplomatic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess this question we already touched on. Local break, since you don't surf at home, I'm guessing it's the road trips or the travels.
If I'll surf at one place in LA that's kind of, I can't say because
Sure.
they'll
Yeah.
be, I'll get yelled at.
Or worse.
Or worse. Yeah.
Boat trips or resorts?
Resorts. I'm not a boat dude. Boats. I can't spin the, there's like not nonsense helipad.
Right.
I'm down with that, but I'm not spending like $1 million a week. So, resorts for sure.
Barrel of turns.
Both.
Left or right?
I was a right guy. I'm regular. I was a right guy, but I realized that was being lazy, and I've recently started really enjoying lefts, but not barrels because I suck at backside barrel riding. It's very
Just
sad.
like hacking at the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But backside barrel riding, I don't know how you guys do it. I suck at it. It's embarrassing, and I go over the falls face first.
Indo or Mexico? Or let's broaden the horizon.
Indoco.
Indo.
No.
Or like let's go Southeast Asia or Central America.
Southeast Asia, not the waves, the hotels.
All right, cool. Business class or coach?
Very interesting. Business class international, coach 3 hours or less. Because those planes, business class, sucks and you're a chump if you pay for that. Oh, but Qatar Airways, Q Suite business class from LA to Doha and then Doha to Male is hands down the dopest experience you'll ever have without paying like the 25 grand for the Emirates business, which is nonsense. And you can get it at a fairly reasonable price. That's dope.
Localism is
Shitty.
the WSL is.
Hi, Ryan Holcomb. It's great. Everything in surfing is other than kind of localism or arrogance or ego in the water, because I think that's antithetical to everything surfing is. Anyone who enjoys surfing, including WSL guys, and if you love it and you're having fun, you're enjoying it, then you're a hardcore surfer.
Pro surfing is. I guess it goes down the same route.
I mean, I think pro surfing, if you are, I don't know. I think that's not a rapid fire type question. That's a philosophical question.
Which we don't have time or battery.
Okay. I think I don't like when I see people using strategy in pro heats that prevents people from doing their best surfing, right? Like
Yeah.
the like, oh, I have priority, I'm dropping in while you're in the barrel because I have priority. It's like that's not fun. That's not a fun product, right?
Yeah.
I think those rules need to be changed so it's the best surfing wins, not the best strategy. because I think that's pretty whack and not really surfing.
I never thought I would.
I've done everything. Most of it is dumb, but I don't know. I'm never surprised at my idiotic decisions. I think I'll do anything.
Okay. Last question. LA Rams or LA Chargers?
Both. We did an episode with the Rams, which was very cool. Don't. I like sports. I'll watch sports, but I'm at a point in my life that I don't really care what grown men who don't care about me are doing.
Right. And I guess that's a very beautiful last word. Don't care. We're done. Cheers, man. That was
Appreciate it,
awesome.
brother. No, it was good talking to you.
And we could have gone on for like another 2 hours, but we probably keep that for round 2. See you guys. Talk later.
We at LUEX are all about finding the best trips for you, for your requirements, your ability level, your taste and preferred style. Just the best options in the world.
LUEX offers you the world's largest selection of travel packages. We can offer you hundreds of unique and absolutely amazing travel experiences. No matter how special your requirements are, we will have the right option for you, guaranteed. The choice is only one side of the coin. The other one is the LUEX Objective Expert Advice to help you select the best option available. We have visited all destinations ourselves and know exactly what package will suit you and what won't. We also guarantee you the best available prices. In the unlikely case that anybody offers you the same package at a lower rate, just let us know and we will beat that price for you. We will be there for you 24/7, and we will spend as much time with you as it takes to find the best travel package possible and to assist you before, during and after your trip. Last but not least, you will enjoy the highest customer protection possible. Check out our website for details. We are living on repeat business and will make sure you get what you deserve.
Seen enough? Well, then give us a call if you want to ride the most amazing waves or some of the world's finest powder. Just check out LUEX.com.